Hey guys!
Hi guys!
So this week we're doing sort of like a two-part topic. One, we're going to start with some whole foods, and second, cooking your own meals. So to start, we're going to talk about whole foods. So what exactly are whole foods? What they are foods that are coming from their natural state. So things that aren't, they don't have a big long ingredient list on their packaging. It's usually one thing, you know exactly what you're eating, and it's just something from nature. So things like fruits, vegetables, fish, whole grains, and meats. Those are all examples of whole foods, whereas things that are more processed and have, a big extensive ingredient list, those are going to be your cookies, your chips, cereals, and even breads. So when we talk about whole foods, we try to say, whole foods are best, but past few weeks we've been talking to you guys about things like protein powder and yogurt, and those are things that we would call exceptions in this case. So protein powders and yogurts are really great. They're great sources of calcium and protein, because we really want you to get that protein in, but they actually do have a little bit of processing to them. So they're not necessarily whole foods, but they're processed, but they're better than what a chip or a cookie or something like that would get you. So why do you want to get whole foods in? You know exactly what you're eating. When you eat a piece of broccoli, you know exactly what it is. That's what you're getting. Chips and cookies, even if something's labeled organic, say you have a cookie in the middle of the grocery store that's labeled organic, you don't necessarily know exactly what's going into that cookie unless you want to go ahead and research that whole ingredient list. So you're avoiding those the added preservatives and the chemicals and sugars and fats and those big long name chemical things that are on the ingredient list that you don't really know what it is.
And we can't pronounce.
Yeah, you can't pronounce it, so it's like, what are you eating? So when you're going to the grocery store, something we like to say as a rule of thumb is shop the perimeter. You want to try to get 80% of what you're buying from the grocery store in the perimeter of the store. That is where you're going to find your whole foods, your vegetables, the meat, all the fruits, everything fresh. That produce section is key to getting those whole foods in. Whereas in the middle, you can stick with the 20% can go from the middle. That's where you're going to find most of the processed foods. However, that's also where whole grains, oats, and things like that are also whole foods. So
yeah, absolutely. So a good way to get some whole foods is to buying local. That's your farm stands, your local farmers markets. The farmers markets, this time of year is hard in this area of the country.
Yeah.
But you can always, go to your farm stands. I know some of even the grocery stores now are having fresh farm stand setups where it's coming directly from a local farm. Why buy local? Because first of all, it keeps more revenue into our local economy. You're not buying from overseas or other countries. It saves on fossil fuel with the transport of getting those goods here to us in the country. We save on packaging. If you're buying whole foods, fruits and veggies from farm stands, you're not going to have all that packaging in it. That's, really bad for the environment. Your food's going to be a lot fresher. So these farm stands, pick the foods, grow the foods, and they're readily available pretty much that day or the next day. When we buy from other countries, they have to, package those. They have to pick the foods, package the foods, ship them, and the nutrients in those foods will degrade over time. So the food is not going to be as fresh if you're not buying from local areas. And so buying local, eating whole foods, that kind of brings us into our second part of our topic this week, which is cooking your own meals. We know not everybody has a ton of time. Sometimes, our nights are really busy. And if you're the type of person that goes out to eat like 7 nights a week, or, even 4 or 5 nights a week, this week we really want you to, kind of try to take some time and make some of your own meals at home. Making your own meals, again, like Sid said with the whole foods, you know exactly what you're getting. You know exactly what you're eating and what you're putting into that meal. You can take some of those whole foods that Sid talked about and, kind of create a dish using those whole foods. You are going to know what the ingredients are in your meal. You can use better quality ingredients, so you're going to use, like I said, whole foods, fresher veggies. You're going to use herbs and spices.
Yeah.
You're not going to have those added things in that restaurants like to kind of, sell you on the savory sauces and the extra added fat and the sugars that they add into these foods. So with cooking our own meals, that requires a few things. You're going to want to be prepared and, plan ahead. So this kind of goes back with our mindful eating topic, planning. So you want to, check out recipes, find recipes that you want to use, or think up a meal that you want to make. You want to make shopping lists, and then go to the grocery store and get everything that you need. So when the time comes that night that you're planning, you set some time aside to make that meal, you'll have everything readily available for you. Also, you want to have your kitchen set up on point. So if you're going to be cooking a meal, you're going to be adding lots of veggies, which we hope you will be. You're going to need good cooking utensils, some sharp knives, some different types of knives. Certain ones are used for different types of chopping and cutting techniques. And, obviously some pots and pans. And then a good one to have is always to have some Tupperware on hand for leftovers, which will then give you a nice healthy lunch to bring to work the next day.
Yeah.
So this week we really want you focusing on trying to eat as many whole foods as you can,
Right.
eliminating some of those processed foods, look to buy local, and try to make some of your own meals instead of, eating out or grabbing something on the go.
Yeah, I've actually had a few people ask me this past week about, getting things from stores and restaurants and, things that are already pre-made, such as like a granola bar or, a muffin or whatever. And, even if you get a granola bar from sort of like a health food store or anything like that, it might not have an ingredient list on it. And you may not even be able to find the ingredients online. So sometimes you don't really know, if they made that with Whole Foods or if they added other things into it. But so this week when we ask you to know, cook your own meals, try something like that. Maybe find sort of like a copycat recipe online, go through and make your own granola bar, then you know exactly what's in it. You know exactly what to log in MyFitnessPal. It's all a little bit easier for you once you, make it out and, have your own granola bar.
Absolutely.
For example,
Yep, those are always fun to make too.
Yeah.
Get the kids involved in that too.
Yeah.
So this week we